All right. So as Liz and Jay mentioned before, my name is Yaneli. I am presenting at LinkWest Translations. LinkWest Translations is a service provided by me, hopefully willing to expand down the road. But our mission is to provide access to information, inclusivity, and equal representation through the multiple translation services that we provide. So to get you guys a little bit, to get to know me a little bit, I want to talk about my background, just kind of about my experiences and my education that has led me to this point. And then I definitely want to talk about what I call multilingual inclusivity, especially in a global economy and a very globalized society that we live in. I believe it's a very fundamental part and very important, and something that we've all learned to value a lot more as we've progressed in this type of global economy. Then we'll go into the services I provide and what I would like to grow into, and also who we serve. So to start, I grew up here in Iowa City, went to Mark Twain, Southeast, and City High, but my family is from Honduras. So I was lucky to get the experience of both worlds. I would go spend my summers in Honduras quite often growing up. And then I would come back here for school. I actually ended up going to school in Honduras, not by choice. My passport had actually expired, so I was stuck after my vacation, but I made the best of it, and it was a really good experience. But one thing I definitely want to kind of bring to light or educate people on is what a heritage speaker is, and that's what I consider myself to be. And a heritage speaker is someone who learns a minority language in their home, but they live somewhere where there's a more dominant language. And a lot of times what heritage speakers experience is kind of a lack of development in what we would call their native language, because usually when we think of a native language is the language you feel more comfortable in, the language you hear in your voice, and it's the first language that you learn. But heritage speakers are a little bit different, just because they, for example, me, I learned Spanish at home. Spanish was my first language, and it was always spoken in the home. But as soon as I went to kindergarten, I learned English, and then everything else, all my education was in English. So through that, we, become more comfortable speaking English. We're more confident when it comes to presenting or writing or anything like that. So it kind of leaves us in like an odd place, because our native language is Spanish, but our dominant language is English. So because of that, I once I started working, people would always ask me like, hey, can you translate this? Or can you interpret for me? And I always thought, my Spanish is pretty good. I feel good, talking to my family members and friends in Spanish. But professionally, I did not feel confident at all. So I decided, I am passionate about translating and providing good translations, and I think it's very important. So I decided to go back to school and study Spanish. And then I decided to add my translation minor. And I was lucky to go to the University of Iowa and meet some of the amazing professors there in the Spanish department, and also work with the Iowa Writers Program, where we were able to meet people from, I believe, over 15 different countries. And it was pre-COVID, so we were able to actually see people in person, ask them these questions, and just be able to kind of build relationships and kind of talk about, our passion for language exchange and all that. So with that being said, I graduated with a bachelor's in Spanish and a minor in translation. Since then, I've had experience translating in legal law firms for immigration purposes, as well as criminal or family law. And I worked at Path of Hope, which you can see down in that corner. And Path of Hope was an amazing experience. They do some amazing work there. They are a nonprofit focused on providing refugee and immigration services, and they're located in Coralville. So I highly recommend them if you guys know anybody in need of those type of services. They are a small group, but they're very dedicated and passionate about what they do. I also had some experience in translating medical documents, mainly for the purpose of like FMLA or short-term disabilities and things like that, which also falls into insurance. For a brief moment, I worked at Kirkwood in their financial aid department. So I was able to just kind of get the hang of what kind of, I would say, education and financial services and what they provide, and having to learn the terminology and translate it. And then I've also worked with translating educational documents. And at this moment, I work at Johnson County Public Health, where we translate a lot of announcements. What would we call them? I guess like Q&As for people. And we, right now it's important to make sure that people are receiving accurate information, especially in a time when there's a lot of disinformation. So making sure that everybody is receiving it in their language is important. Let's see if I can go to the next slide. There we go. So what I call multilingual inclusivity is just making sure, or striving to provide an environment where we do recognize these languages that are being spoken in our communities, and we are willing to include them and make things a little more streamlined for them, for people who are just coming to this country, who have been here, and just to create a community through translation services. As I mentioned, including immigrant populations or populations that speak different languages is good for, business, nonprofit and also for-profit businesses. Of course, it reaches a greater community when you're able to share information in different languages, but it also creates a community by everybody knowing the same information and being able to kind of be on the same page. It creates a little bit of closeness to each other. I think translation services also minimize barriers, which in my position now, it's very important to make sure that people are receiving the right information when it comes to government services, as well as giving them the information or resources that they need in their language so they can navigate these services by themselves or with a little more ease. And then it just builds trust, being able to communicate with these people who, often feel kind of pushed to the side or forgotten, and having somebody who speaks their language just makes them feel more welcomed, and kind of alleviate some of the stress that comes with learning a new language, living in a new place, and doing that by yourself. And then also providing services in multiple language would boost productivity for any type of for-profit business or nonprofit business or social service, just being more efficient, reaching people at a quicker pace, and being able to communicate back and forth and gain some type of feedback to improve your business or your service or whatever you are providing. So some of the services I provide or have provided in the past is just translation, which is written work. So I've worked on a lot of legal and court documents for immigration cases, court cases, divorce, things like that. I've translated a lot of brochures and forms, especially at Johnson County Public Health. We've launched a few new programs. One of them, which is the maternal health program. It helps women who are just coming to this country or are having their first baby in the United States. So we help them navigate that experience, because it's a lot different from the countries that they come from, and there's a lot of things that people don't tell you or don't know about. So we want to make sure moms are taken care of, and they're receiving the services, the quality services that they deserve when they are going through pregnancy. Another service that we just launched is our Health Path Clinic, which is a family reproductive health clinic where we help people who don't have insurance, are underinsured, or simply don't have the income or don't want anybody to know, who can come here and to Johnson County Public Health and receive these services for free or at a low cost. And so being able to provide accurate information and promote those services in multiple languages, we've noticed that we reach, certain populations that really do need them, and are very grateful to learn about these programs through the different languages that we provide the information in. A couple other things I've worked on are just like medical records. A lot of people need forms translated for immigration, or just simply getting vaccines. Right now, vaccines are a big deal. So making sure that everybody is vaccinated or up to date and all that is very important for school purposes and just entry into the country. As on screen here, you'll see a couple of press releases that I've worked on and we've published at Johnson County Public Health throughout the COVID pandemic. These, I believe, were produced in March when the vaccines were rolling out. People had a lot of questions, so we tried to keep them updated as much as possible throughout the whole process. And then, of course, live interpretation, which I love to do with individuals working together, making public announcements. At Johnson County, we like to do like some videos or just some some quick talks, Zooms and stuff like that, to communicate our information, and as well as interpretation for presentations. I would like to work with people who are training or providing some type of education. I would like to partner with people and try to provide those in different languages as well. So I guess who we serve would be any multilingual community in the corridor area here in Iowa City, all the way to the Quad Cities and the surrounding areas. Although we think of Iowa, we live, it's people call it pretty boring, but I grew up here. I love Iowa City. And there's always, little pockets throughout the state where we have these communities that speak a minority language. Obviously, we would like to provide services to the private sector, like corporations, banks, legal firms, and provide quality services. But my passion is public services and advocacy. So I would like to partner with healthcare, education, or any type of nonprofits working on some type of advocacy to make sure people are receiving quality services with translation and interpretation. So I guess at this point, because LinkWest Translations is very in the very early stages, one of the challenges that translators face is just the certification part. So just getting a little more information on what I need to do to be certified and where I can go. And I would also like to continue to build my portfolio and use that for future reference. I'm also working right now on just our website and branding, which I know will take some fees, and just networking to try to put those things together. Down the road, I would like to also work with different languages other than Spanish. And I've noticed just working in the public health building that French and Arabic are two of the other most popular languages spoken here in Johnson County. And eventually American Sign Language. I would like to learn it myself, but I think it's also very important to provide sign language for other populations that I guess people don't really think of when it comes to translation, but it's definitely growing, and there is a need for it. And like I mentioned before, one of my main goals is to partner with like a nonprofit or advocacy program. I would like to focus on something with mental health, making sure that these immigrant or minority populations are being reached when it comes to mental health, and being able to talk about those services and guiding them to the right services, and as well as immigrant and refugee populations, or anything that would serve them. I feel like that would be perfect. But other than that, I think that's all I have for you guys today. There is my contact information if you guys have any questions or would like to work with me in the future. But that is what I have for today.
Excellent. Any questions?
Sure. First off, good job, Yaneli. And I think we may have crossed paths at one point, because I went to Mark Twain for a few years, then Southeast, then City High. So we have a very similar path. And your name sounds familiar, so maybe we did. So that's cool. Anyways, my question is, besides your Facebook and Instagram, how are you getting the word out right now about your services? Is it a lot of like word of mouth, or is it people that you're interacting with through like the county that like know that they can hire you outside of the county, or how's that working?
Yeah, so right now it is mainly word of mouth and just people that I've worked with in the county, just letting them know, like, hey, if you need other type of services, not related to the county, I'm willing to work with. So I've done a couple. I did a translation for the city of Iowa City for Marlon Mendoza, and she is the one who gave me the push, like, hey, like, I know you said you just started your freelance translation business. She's like, but I think you should do it. So she definitely pushed me to go for it.
Marlene's great, so love that you're connected with her.
Yes.
So you offer both translation, which is the written stuff, and interpretation, which is the spoken stuff. Which of the two is your favorite to do, and why?
Oh man, which of the two? So I would say translation, the written stuff, just because I can take my time with it. And like they say, translations are like small windows into different cultures, into different forms of thinking, and I think being able to take my time and make sure I'm expressing exactly what the language that's being translated is wanting to express.
Nice. Very nice. Other questions?
So what made you go with the name of Link West Translations?
So it's kind of a play on words. So Link West, I thought sounded a lot similar to linguist. So, and then we're in the Midwest. So I was like, okay, so I'll just kind of incorporate those things together. And I thought, Link West Translations was a good title for it.
That's really good that you explained that. That sounds really nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Nellie, do you need a lot of advance notice for interpretation services, or do you request like a certain amount of time for those types of things?
So yeah, because I am, working full time, I try to, kind of have a week in advance if possible. But if somebody needs to call me and says, hey, I need you to interpret right now, I am more than happy to help someone out.
Do you do sort of like virtual interpretations or mostly in person? Okay.
Yeah, I haven't done virtual yet. I want to. I'm really open to it. I think it'd just be easier for a lot of people. But yeah, right now what I'm mainly doing is just in-person interpretation. Like somebody has an appointment or anything like that, I'll sit in the room with them and try to be more personable about it. But virtual, I think, is something I want to work on as soon as possible to give people access to that.
Great.
I think there's a pretty big demand across the state of Iowa for translation services. So maybe think about like expanding your network, whatever way that looks. You could present at other 1 Million Cups or make connections with like little, with like the area Chamber of Commerce's or economic development groups, just being like, hey, I'm here if you ever need me, or if your local businesses need me, that kind of thing. Because like I said earlier, last year we heard like there's such a big gap between the demand and supply. So I think you really have a kind of a captive audience right now for like people needing these services, but not knowing where to look. So maybe just think about that a little bit too.
Yeah, definitely. And where other locations do you guys have here in Iowa for 1 Million Cups?
Des Moines is definitely the biggest one for sure. I know, Jay, what are the other kind of more active Iowa communities? I'm not really too familiar with who's active, who's not.
So in Iowa, there's us, there's Des Moines, there's Cedar Rapids, there's Ames, and then Cedar Falls. I think those are the 5 that are active right now.
Ames would be good too. I think they're pretty active. Cedar Rapids is, hit or miss sometimes, but they would be good to talk to as well. I bet they'd be interested in this.
Yeah.
Have you thought about working with any, one thing about like so many people you can help, like advocacy groups, but potentially like large school districts that have budget, who can pay you to help, perhaps the parents kind of filter through a lot of everything's going on in the world.
Yeah.
I think that might be a good avenue to explore.
Right. And yeah, I definitely would like to work with the schools. Because I know they have like, student and family advocates, but there's certain schools that, have a higher population in a certain language. So trying to locate them and reach out to them would be, I think, helpful. I guess hopefully would help me expand and be able to practice more.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Nice. And if people have questions and they don't want to ask them out loud, you can always put them into the chat as well. Any other questions?
Great. Well, thank you guys. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, if that's okay.
I was going to say, if there are no other questions, I'll go ahead and ask our traditional final question here at 1 Million Cups Iowa City. What can we as the community do to help you?
Oh, yes. I guess provide just access to networking, places where I can network, and promoting the importance of translations, and also, I guess, just a little bit of guidance on what I need to do to be certified and be legitimate. Because I went and got the education, the experience, but I guess I just need the certification.
Very nice. And just leave your contact up there for like 3 more seconds so everyone can kind of burn that into their brains.
Okay.
Definitely, I learned a lot. Thank you so much for presenting today, and best of luck. And really, if there's anything we can do to help, just let us know.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for having me and allowing me to do this and helping me with the feedback.
Awesome. Thank you so much.